Thank you for participating in Wellog's International Strategy Expat program. Before making the final preparations for you and your family's move to China, the head of your department has drafted this informative video to give you an overview of the place you've chosen to work abroad. When in China, it is important to be familiar with some of its cultural, political, and economic aspects to help Wellogs become a strong contender in the country and ensure your success. China is larger than the United States, with an even larger population consisting of approximately 1.3 billion people, the largest population in the world. Because of China's large landmass, its denizens are familiar with a wide gamut of weather conditions and will not be puzzled by mention of snow, beaches, tornadoes, or most other forms of weather. China is divided into 22 provinces, which excludes Taiwan. While there are more than 8,000 local and provincial dialects of Chinese, the most prevalent is Mandarin Chinese, which is encountered most frequently in business and political settings and is taught throughout Chinese public education. The Chinese language, both in spoken and script forms, is very different from English or other Latin-based languages. Whereas English generally uses a limited 26-character alphabet to form sounds and words, Chinese uses a form of substitution that uses thousands of unique characters in place of words, sounds, and ideas, many of which can be combined to form entirely new words. Because of this, translation, intent, and meaning are extremely important for successfully conducting business in China, and it is recommended that you and your family begin learning the basics of the language. American expats may find Chinese families to be less independent than those they are used to, as many Chinese families may contain the nuclear family of parents and their children, but may also include the grandparents of the family as well. Because of the distinct focus on family ties in China, you will see many families just like this. The parents take care of the grandparents in their old age, and while the parents are away at work, the grandparents will take care of the children. The Chinese take education seriously. In 1986, the government passed a law making a 9-year minimum education mandatory for all children. The literacy rate in China approaches about 95.1%. A college education is not mandatory because of the expense, much like in the US, but Chinese students near to completing high school must take the National Higher Education Entrance Examination. Those that pass the test are granted the chance to move on to a college career. The Chinese are known as a high-context society. Relationships are very important to them and must be actively cultivated as if it were a living thing. This is no different for an expat living in China. You must prove to your fellow business people in China that you are a worthy individual working for a company worthy of doing business in China. The Chinese are very proud of how they work and who they work for. Because of this high-context nature, business deals can take far longer than Western deals, as they take many months to complete. Patience and graciousness during these periods is rewarded, however, with a stronger bond and loyalty than is normally expected from Western business partners. China's national currency is the renminbi, the basic unit of which is the familiar yuan. $1 is equivalent to approximately 6.24 yuan. China's most recent measured GDP is $13.37 trillion. It employs a labor force of over 797.6 million people. The most current export figure is $2.21 trillion, while the current import figure is $1.77 trillion. Its top trade partners are the United States, Japan, Taiwan, South Korea, and Germany. And its top industries include metalwork, petrochemicals, automotive, textiles, and electronics manufacturing. China currently ranks first in worldwide farm output, which can be a boon to a cereal producer like Wellogs and help to assist in passing any content requirements that could be put into future laws. The Chinese populace has a voracious appetite. In 2010, the Chinese consumed approximately 60 million tons of meat. The Chinese diet and product offering is also more diverse than that of the US, as many animals and plants, and parts thereof, are part of the Chinese diet that either aren't available or are taboo in the US. It is recommended that you familiarize yourself with Chinese cuisine and become tolerant to food you may not normally eat at home. Despite this, Western food and food chains have made significant progress in China, providing a lucrative new front to US chains like Pizza Hut and McDonald's. The Chinese government is one of a few communist institutions still existing in the world today. The Chinese Communist Party is the single political party in the country. Chinese government diverges from what we may typically understand a communist government to be, however. Just like the US, the government is split up into 3 branches: executive, legislative, and judicial. The current president of China, who serves as the chief of state, is Xi Jinping. The current premier of China, who is the head of government, is Li Keqiang. Powerful positions such as these do not have elections voted on by the general populace. Instead, politicians voted into these positions are elected by the judicial branch, by Congress, whose provincial members take a vote. These provincial members of Congress are voted in by the lower-level local members of the People's Congress, who in turn are voted in by the general populace, dictated by regional location. Current issues in Chinese politics involve a growing rift between the rich and poor subsets of the population, and a growing weariness on the part of agricultural workers to the government's indifference to their rapidly declining quality of life. Thank you for taking the time to view this informative video on life in China. Best of luck in your business dealings there.